Alrighty, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Property Committee meeting, March 12th, 2024. We're going to work from the agenda as usual. We also have some guests to do a presentation for us as well, an update. If anybody has any questions before we get started. Okay, all right. Our first agenda item is the middle school renovations and additions update. Mr. Doug Taylor from Dewey Engineers, as well as Mr. Dan DeMamico from Schrader Architects, are going to give us an update. So, gentlemen.
Do you want Dan to share first, guys? Or do you?
I can go if you want me to go through the plans first, and then we'll come back to the schedule and budget.
Okay.
And screen sharing. Oh, you have to stop sharing screen there, Doug. No. All right. Everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Great. So good morning, everyone. Thanks for meeting with us this morning. We are at the end of our schematic design phase. So like you kind of just heard me reference, Doug's going to go through the current schedule, and we did a cost estimate. What I'm going to present to you now are the drawings that Doug and his team used. And this encompasses all the conversations and design that we've done up to this point. This is literally the whole entire package, so I'll kind of skip through a couple slides here where there's not much information for you guys to see. So start with the cover sheet, and we come into the civil plan. So this is the existing site drawing. What we see here is the existing conditions, and we're starting to see some of the demo work. So some of the items highlighted in dark, bold, some of these trees around here are items that we're going to start to remove as we get into the new layout on the site, and I'll kind of just skip to that next. So not sure how much everyone remembers from our previous conversation, but I just want to walk you through to orient you. Up at the north here is Bergen Road, and over here would be Paper Mill, and then 309 to the bottom of the page. Some of the new features we're looking to develop on site, as we mentioned last time. We're looking to add 24 parking spaces in this kind of grass island up here. Currently, there are the slanted parking spaces that kind of service the now main entrance of the building. We're looking to expand that and change the circulation path through there. We're also looking to build a permanent island that kind of cuts off where the cones are now to direct traffic, have a safer and more direct traffic flow around the site. Oop. Coming down and around, we're not doing much to the parking lot down here. One thing we are looking to do is add a sidewalk along the grass island and a small fence to help direct traffic of pedestrian traffic, especially of students that get dropped off in this parking lot, to have one point of crossing, again, as a safety feature. As you remember, the new main entrance is going to be down here where the existing canopy is near the cafeteria, and where a lot of students are dropped off in the morning. So with those few improvements, we're hoping with a little raised crosswalk here that'll help direct the students to cross all of the parent drop-off traffic at one location. We will maintain, I guess we will provide a new bus canopy, but typically in the same location. Coming further south, we're going to relocate the dumpster enclosure to this location here. And you can see we have a new drive that is loading, unloading for the kitchen expansion. So just to highlight high level, some of the dark gray areas. Again, this is the existing main entry. We're going to infill this area for some clinical and low incidence support classroom space. This gray area here, and you guys can see my mouse, correct? Okay, great. This is going to be the new main entry, and adjacent to that, this area will be renovated for the main office. And this large gray kind of blob shape is part of the kitchen expansion and then the auditorium addition. Coming around the side here, we're looking to grade this down so there's no stairs that bring you around back to the lower fields, and also provide some reinforced grass paving to allow emergency access vehicles to access the back site. A few things to notice in the baseball field: we have a location identified for some underground storm water management. We have a large area of geothermal expansion to serve the additions. And this area here is going to be a temporary sediment basin used during construction. Any questions with the site before we move into the building? All right. So getting to the building, again, there's some sheets here that have a lot of information, nothing that really needs to be shared here. The one thing I would note on this plan is we have a key plan reference, and this is important for me and Doug to maintain. There's a few things code wise and Act 34 wise that once we get over a certain percentage of square footage, those are triggered. So we're really trying to keep this project underneath those thresholds, so we don't trigger a level 3 renovation, which is not in this budget. It's nothing that we're planning on. So right now we're aiming for level 2 renovations, and staying underneath that Act 34 threshold. So what you'll see in some of the plans here, we'll have demo plans. And if we zoom in here, one of the things I'm sure we talked about it last time was renovating the existing classroom cluster toilet rooms. And you'll see the new design layout for that that's been enhanced. But all these drawings are showing, again, for Doug's team, is what walls, doors, fixtures, things like that we're removing, so he can provide a better cost to that. Up in the second floor level, a lot more demolition. Pretty much the kitchen, cafeteria, the Audion, and all those surrounding spaces are going to be gutted and removed to make room for the new administrative suite, an expanded cafeteria, and then a redesigned kitchen and serving area. Over here, again, we'll have the cluster bathroom on the second floor. And up in this general area, we have demo work to make room for an ADA ramp that takes us up to the upper level, where art and STEM are, and a renovated space for a clinical. You can see a little more detail here with all the different components being demolished. And on the third floor, the only thing we're really doing up there is that bathroom renovation. So those 3 stacked toilet rooms are being renovated. We also provide Doug's team some exterior elevations, so side view of the building from outside, showing different areas that are going to be removed. One of the things that we're looking to do in a cafeteria is expand the window glass now that that space is larger. We want to expand the amount of daylighting we bring into that space. So there's some large bays being removed to make way for that. Here we show some what we call axonometric 3D views that kind of show from each cardinal direction the different massing and development we're going to do to the building. So skipping ahead to the lower level, you can kind of see to the left here and along the bottom is our large addition for the auditorium. There's really nothing shown here because this is technically the foundations of that area. One of the things to note is this addition, like I mentioned at the last meeting, is really just a hallway that connects the loop around the gym to the existing performing arts classrooms, so the band and the choral. The other thing to note is the current exterior ramped sidewalk that takes you to the lower locker rooms is now going to be an enclosed interior ramping hallway. So if you imagine the level at the existing stage would be your mid height, you could either go down to the lower level or up to the second floor. So it's a completely ADA accessible ramping hallway that takes you to the different levels. Another item to note we're doing in the back locker room is in each of the boys and girls locker rooms, we're providing a private changing area with a roll-in ADA shower. So each of those spaces will have a private changing room. And that was a conversation that stems providing universal and gender neutral design into these spaces. I think currently the students have to go across the hallway to use an officials room. We're trying to provide access to a room inside of the locker rooms. And then going down, let's see if I can zoom in. Yeah. Sorry for the blurry image, but you can see generally the layout of the new cluster toilet rooms in the classroom wing. This design will also be used for the new bathroom that's going to be outside of the cafeteria. But what we're showing are full height walls, full doors. So these are basically private little toilet rooms. Currently, we're showing 8 fixtures. We have a survey that's going to take place with our structural and mechanical engineering teams the week of the 25th. We may have to expand the electrical custodial closet, but currently there's 7 fixtures in each toilet. So we're gaining 1. We may have to lose 1, but still maintain the same number that we have in the building now. And then off to the side here, we have open hand washing. So it's a very nice open concept, easily seen from the hallway to allow for that supervision. Hopefully some of the shenanigans in the toilet room subsides when you have a space like this. Moving up to the upper level, here you can start to see the auditorium. A lot of this is in flux as we kind of play around with different ways to enter the space and how many students we're going to have coming in and out of the hallway as they come from the high school side and through the tunnel. So actually the plan now is a little more spread out for the entries. But what we're looking at is, again, the existing building would end here at this gray wall, and this rectangular space would be the kitchen expansion. So we have a meeting this Thursday with our food service consultant to go through their initial concepts and further develop this space. And then coming down the side of the building would be the entry into the auditorium kind of lobby space. You can see there's some tiered levels. So the idea is as you come in, and I think it's going to be in one of these plans here. Thought we had the seats shown, I guess not. It's easier to see with the seating in, but we have 2 aisles on either side of the seats. And the idea is as you come in, you're kind of at the second floor level. You would slope down with the seats and come to this mid landing. And this mid landing is actually the same height as the stage. And you can see there's no stairs. So one of the conversations we've had as a team, again, is universal design, making sure that everyone has the same and equitable access to the stage. So for instance, if someone was sitting at the bottom front row, they would go up to the mid-level, around, and onto the stage. So that's true for anyone in a wheelchair or that can walk and go up steps. So it's free and clear for everybody. Also to note, coming off the back of the stage, this stage height is higher than the existing stage and this new hallway. So we have a ramp that comes down to access this back corridor. Again, one of the things we talked about with the performing arts team was having a free wide corridor or hallway. They would be able to transport any like large instruments, like such as timpanis and xylophones, and not have to carry them up steps or add in a large wheelchair lift that they could put instruments on. So we have a meeting, I believe, on Friday with the performing arts team to further fit out this space and review. So high level, we're showing 655 seats plus some ADA spaces and a sound and light booth in the back. But we'll further develop this area with them when we have our meeting on Friday. Up in the cafeteria space, which we are now referring to as the Commons, we've eliminated the wall to the hallway, along with the existing toilet rooms and support rooms, and expanded the cafeteria space. Let me zoom in here, try to get a better view. Up here is our infill for the main entry, so new entry vestibule and lobby. And that takes us into our renovated main office. So we have a reception area with a waiting area adjacent to that, a couple toilet rooms and some office space. So now all of the principals will be consolidated into one office. There's a workroom and a conference room that can be accessed from the hallway for teacher access or from the main office for anyone coming in, such as a principal or a parent. And currently we're showing access from the main office to faculty dining area that also has access to the cafeteria. In the faculty dining area, there is a toilet to serve that space. And just below that, we have another cluster toilet space that serves nighttime events and the cafeteria during the school day, but it's open for the gym use or for the new auditorium as they come down the hallway and into this space. Any questions about that space?
Hi, it's Karen.
Yes.
Just inside on audio, I'm trying to visualize.
Oh, okay.
My skills. So the gym space that's currently there is going to be the gym, right?
Correct.
And then the auditorium is new building space.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's all I was just trying to imagine in my brain. So
yeah, and thank you. You actually reminded me one of the items I missed was the stage is going to be renovated. Now that we have the new auditorium with the new stage, we're going to take that space adjacent to the existing gym as the current stage and turn that into a fitness and health classroom. So there's also going to be some instrument storage. So as students come in during the day and down the hallway, they have a spot that they can drop off their instruments. And then when they have class, I think the current idea is that the strings and orchestra class is actually going to take place on the new stage in the auditorium. So as they walk to class, they would pass by the instrument storage closet, pick up their instruments and take it on the stage. We're also looking to provide some storage on the stage for that program. But that's something that we'll further develop with the performing arts team when we have our user meeting.
thank you.
Of course. Moving over to the other half of the school, again, the same open concept for the toilet room. But the main focus over here was the renovated clinical space. So if you can imagine where the main office currently is located, that's going to be renovated to consolidate all of the clinical counselors, school psychologists, and social worker into one space with a conference room. And they'll also have their own exit. So students can get dropped off or picked up right outside of where the existing main entrance is now. Like I mentioned earlier, we're looking to take some space out of the library to create a new ADA ramp that would bring us up to that upper level where the art room and tech ed rooms are. And the classrooms that are across the hall from those two spaces are going to be renovated into two low incidence classrooms and an apartment. The apartment's going to have its own little kitchen. We'll furnish it with different furniture to kind of set it up almost like a studio apartment. There'll be a dining table and a bed, things like that. And then its own toilet room that is ADA accessible with a shower. Third floor, again, only thing we're doing up there is renovating that cluster toilet room. Here you'll start to see we'll start to show ceiling plans to as we get into the different finishes throughout the building, different ceiling types, again, helping Doug's team estimate the project, as well as a roof plan that shows the new roof materials where the additions are being located. We also have building elevations. So the goal here is to match the brick color. We'll start to mess around with some metal panel finishes to match the existing building. But you can see really focusing on the main entrance. We're looking to have a nice large glass expanse at the main entry to bring a lot of light into the center of the building. Also looking to expand, like I referenced earlier, the glazing in the cafeteria, again, to bring more more daylighting into the cafeteria space. We're also looking to put a window on the back side of the stage. Like I mentioned, the idea is that this is going to serve as a classroom to the orchestra strings curriculum. So we didn't want just a closed-in dark space for them, but to, more of like a space like a regular classroom that has windows and daylight. We will provide shades, blackout shades, and the rigging and curtains for the theatrical settings to close off any daylight to come through that area. And last but not least, just want to share some imagery of where the concept stands now. So anything that's kind of shown in gray, that's kind of the existing material. Anything that we show in the brick is going to be new, and obviously the new glass. So starting here with the new main entry, you can see kind of tucked away, but full glass, again, allowing daylight to come in deep into the space. And then just kind of panning to the right from there, looking down. We don't have the canopy shown in this image. We'll get that designed and in there as we start to engage our structural engineer. But you can see the expanded glass window system that's going to bring all that daylight to fill the new cafeteria. At the very end, you kind of see a brick all the way to the right. That's going to be the kitchen expansion. And then popping up over the back, there's your auditorium. From the field side, you'd see we have the windows on the back of the stage there. We also have a little bump out here that is going to serve as some field storage. I think the golf cart's going to be stored in there, an ice maker to serve the athletic teams out on the play fields. And then along the hallway here, just to make sure it's not dark and creepy, we added some windows to bring daylight into that space as well. That's all I had as far as the drawings go. Before I turn over to Doug, did anyone have any questions? All right, I will stop sharing.
See, try to get this thing in full slideshow. Trying to get it to be the whole slideshow here, but it's not working well.
Doug, if you hit the,
There we go.
there you go.
You guys got it?
Yep.
I got to move ahead because I have a capital improvements update here in front of this project. Okay. So Dan, nice job as always. Thank you. And we have a meeting at 1:30 today, so we'll further discuss many of those things Dan talked about. So the design activities to date, we're performing our due diligence on this project. So our geotechnical investigations are complete. We're waiting for that report. The infiltration testing is also complete, so we're waiting for those reports. And these are pieces of information we need, number one, to design the foundations for this building, and number two, the stormwater management system. So our team is waiting for this information so they can move forward with it. The geothermal well that was prepared on site, they did reach an elevation of 400 feet deep on the well, which is positive for us. The conductivity testing will be performed tomorrow and will wrap up by Friday. And we'll have those results next week. But we should have what we need to know minimally for the mechanical engineer to get started. I have some information for them. So that is needed so that we can begin to design the mechanical systems for the building. Stormwater system camera investigations. Craig and I have been through a series of those and have, trying to determine where all of the storm lines are and what's going on with some of those. Existing unit ventilator performance. We know that they likely ultimately need to be replaced, and we're looking at potential alternate bids to address that. And we had a utility locating company out to perform a study of the entire site to help us identify all of the existing features possible so that we can identify those locations, what they may be, before contractors start digging into the grounds and find something we might not want them to find. So that's an effort to avoid costs later. Preliminary program and owner's program requirements we've prepared, and that will be used as we go through our programming meetings that we're going to follow up on this week, and a couple new ones. We have the mechanical, electrical, plumbing team meeting to talk about the mechanical systems, and revisiting the kitchen design again later this week. Schematic design, as you saw from Dan, has been completed. We're moving into the design development phase, so it was important that we get in front of the committee today to show you the schematic design in the event that there's any concerns for the general design. That's something we would need to know now as we begin to move into design development, where the team's going to spend a lot more time getting down to a lower elevation on these drawings and begin to put together the details associated with all these spaces. So there's a lot more effort now going to go into the documentation of this project. We are still investigating the sustainable features, including the expansion of the geothermal well field and the photovoltaic panels on the auditorium roof. And maybe beyond that, we're looking at some grant opportunities. And I know Dr. Yannicone has shared some information on the potential of extended photovoltaics. And that's something we'll have to take a look at cost and possible paybacks on as we move forward. And our bi-weekly design meetings continue, and our land development process is in the works. We have the zoning hearing board meeting in March later this month to talk about the auditorium and kitchen that extend over the setback line. We're looking for the zoning hearing board to give us relief from that. And our first planning commission meeting will be in April. So the preliminary schedule is the pre-design schematic design have finished on schedule. The land development approvals with the township and the conservation district have started in January, February, and we're looking to wrap those up by December. And we're still confident we can do that. We'll know more after our meeting later this month and our first meeting in April with the Planning Commission. So if we get positive feedback from those two meetings, I think that we'll be in pretty good shape to meet this. It is aggressive, but I think it's achievable. The next phase for Schrader Group is the design development phase, where they take the schematic design and further develop it. We have that one extra set of programming meetings with the district, and then we begin to hone in on these spaces and get all the finer details worked out. And then in May, they will move into the construction document phase, where they're starting to put all of the the details on the documents, dimensions, keying them into other details and sections, and really pulling the set together for the actual bidding, which we plan to bid in September and ultimately wrap that up in December. So we would overlap the bidding with the end of the approval process, but we wouldn't award any bids until we know our approvals are in good shape, so that we're not awarding a project that may have changes as a result of the approval process. So we'll carefully coordinate that as we move to the end of this process. And then we're looking for early procurement and construction phase beginning in late December, January of 25, and then finishing likely through a 2-year process into 26. So from a budgetary standpoint, we did have an estimate of probable cost that we started with. And again, the initial estimate of probable cost is based on square footages and a lot of assumptions, because you don't have drawings at that time to prepare a more detailed budget. So as the schematic design phase wrapped up and Dan showed you the documents that they shared, in addition, they gave us a pretty detailed narrative of all the systems and what's planned to be used in the project as well, an outline spec essentially. We use that in addition to the drawings that we received, and the civil drawings too. We had a preliminary civil drawing. And after reviewing those, you can see the hard construction cost, which are basically the actual physical construction of the building. The estimate of probable cost had around 12.9 for the additions, and we have it now with the schematic phase, knowing much more, where we could take some lump sum items and develop unit pricing now for those. So we're getting closer to where we know we need to be. We're slightly beyond, but not too much. The estimated renovations have increased, but we also increased the square footage by about 2,700 square feet. So that really is a correlation of additional square footage and a couple other things as well. The site development is pretty much on budget. We have some allowances for site in the allowances section, so we're really about 3.5 to 4 million still on the site. And then we have some allowances that remain in place for storm repairs, for the boiler plant, and some other items that will be determined as we learn more about the project. So you can see in the hard costs, we're at about a $2 million increase from the estimate of probable cost. Now moving into the soft costs, which is the other part of any budget, are the permits, inspections, and approvals, phasing and logistics, which we're carrying again an allowance until we finalize the phasing documents for this project, design and estimating contingency, and a construction contingency. So we're actually about $500,000 lower on the soft cost. So we're looking at about a net increase of 1.6 million from this estimate of probable cost. What's important to note, though, however, is that we're still carrying $1 million in design and estimating contingency in this budget. We have about $650,000 in allowances that will be included in the contractor's bids for construction. And we have the 1.5 million in construction contingency. So although we're over by 1.6, we still have over $3 million, I think, in contingencies. However, we do need to be diligent about where we move from here relative to the further development from schematic into design development. And we will carefully monitor those things and see if there's some areas that we can shave some of these costs moving forward. So at this phase, it's not uncommon that a budget could be 5% to the negative, 10% to the positive. You know, we're still in a very schematic phase. So we'll continue to track these costs closely. We'll keep the district updated as to where we are, and we'll also include some cost control measures in the bid documents as we move forward. And we'll talk more about that a little bit later. So happy to answer any questions on the schedule or budget if you have any now.
Doug, I have a quick question. Just so I understand the construction contingency, what made that come down from the 2.4 to the 1.5? And if you said that already and I missed it, I apologize.
No, I didn't. I think really, we wouldn't go below the 1.5 at this point. That number will stay for the rest of this budgetary phase. I think that's a number we're comfortable with, knowing we have more understanding of the site, understanding of, there's understanding what some of the risks are associated with this project. And as we continue to do our investigations, we feel pretty comfortable with the 1.5 construction contingency, as well as the allowances that we have included in the contractor's bids as well. So we'll, essentially still have around that 2.4 number when you take the contingency and the allowances combined. So we feel pretty comfortable with that.
Okay, all right. So that adjustment is based on what you've learned so far in the process that you've.
What we've learned, and the fact that, so what we'll do is each of the 4 prime contractors will have an allowance included in their bid based on unit pricing. Okay, so if we know we have soils conditions, we'll include a unit price for soils and a quantity of additional soils exchange. This is just an example.
Okay.
In their base bid, so that if we encounter any additional soils issues beyond what we might plan for, we have a competitively bid number for it. Or we may have a unit price for rock removal. And if our geotechnical reports show that we have some area of rock where an addition may go, we may include a unit price for rock and cost for additional rock removal. And now they competitively bid that number. And it's also a unit price within the bid document, so that if we do encounter it, we can say, okay, certainly we'll let the district know, but it's incorporated into the bid documents, or into their bid. We can keep them moving and not have them stop, ask for 5 board members to approve it, and then come back and have them start again. So we're not delaying work during construction.
I see. Okay.
So each one of the primes will have similar but appropriate allowances in their bid that we'll manage on your behalf and work closely with you and keep you informed as we do.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Doug, can I jump in just very quickly? Sorry to interrupt, but for those board members that are not on the finance committee, because we have the discussions about the financing of this project, and you see the number 32.8 million, and we've kind of talked about a $30 million number for borrowing. So I just want to revisit that a little bit, so that everybody is comfortable and aware and on board with the financing piece of this. So if you remember last year, we did a $10 million borrowing. That was kind of sparsed out for different projects. There was a piece of it for the second phase, or for the 3 phases of the high school roof. We're in phase 2 right now. The Erdenheim ramp, some field renovations at the middle school, the new rubberized track, the football field post. There's a couple other items that we have to clean up that we're hoping to get to next summer. And then the remainder of that was to start this process. So there was a little piece of the first $10 million borrowing that were for a multiple number of projects to kind of start this phase. It was about in the range of about maybe 2.5 million. So as those projects go, and if we get positive bid results on that, which we did for phase 2 of the roof, that excess funding will go towards this project. So we had a little bit of cushion for the first $10 million that we borrowed to go towards this project. And then, as you know, we just discussed the phase 1 of the $30 million borrowing that we're doing over the next 3 years for the bulk of this project. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody was on the same page as far as financing, as we're starting to talk about a more detailed budget and seeing these numbers. Does anybody have any questions about that? Okay, thank you. I'll hand it back.
Sorry, it's Jeff Bedard.
Sure.
Hi.
Hi.
Maybe for Friday when we have finance committee, if you could take what you just said and just help us be really clear about, if we move forward at the price, the estimated price of this project, what's the difference in the expected debt servicing in the budget that we put aside for this project, so that we have a specific number tied to it?
Sure.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Doug, I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you. So the next steps, again, we're going to conduct those follow-up programming or end user meetings this week. We're going to commence with that land development process that we talked about. As we move into design development, we will perform some value engineering. So we'll get the set of drawings at the DD phase, and we'll share them with our internal team and perform a constructability review to provide some feedback to the design team, and also any potential cost savings considerations. And we'll review those as a group at our design team meeting. So that's coming up in the future. We'll develop the preliminary site phasing plan in close coordination, with utilities and land development, learning more about the site, parking, circulation, pedestrian traffic, and staff and students first and foremost. So we'll work on those phasing plans. We have some general concepts for those, and we have the team putting together some better documents that we will ultimately share with the district and with the committee as well, and ultimately with staff and community as we move forward through this process. And we'll continue to manage the budget approvals and schedule moving forward. And again, I assure you that we're going to work diligently on your behalf to track this budget and work closely with Schrader Group, who is also diligent about cost spending, and we'll be aware of where we are and where we need to be as we move forward. That's all I have for this. Any other questions?
That was wonderful, Doug. Thank you so much for going over that. I do not have any questions personally.
No, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. I do need to step out of the meeting. I have to attend another meeting. But thank you all for the information that you provided. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Doug, if I could just jump in for a moment, I just wanted to say thank you both to Doug and Dan. One of the things that neither of them mentioned that I think is important for the board to understand is they have been meeting regularly with user groups at the middle school. So they have met with staff. And the staff have also come forward with information from our students. Kara and I have also met with our student advisory groups. So we really feel like we have a collaborative set of feedback from the community at the middle school to support these moves that we're looking to make to strengthen the overall design plan and function of the middle school. And so I just wanted to thank both Doug and Dan. I think they've been really strong listeners, not only at the design team table, but also with our user groups at the middle school. And I know we're following up later this week with further discussions with those groups to make sure that when the project is complete, the community feels really positive and happy about what we end up with. So I want to thank you both for your leadership in that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr.
Mary
Yannicka,
Jo-
if I could.
Go ahead.
Oh.
Sorry, Jeff. Go ahead.
Hey, I just wanted to reiterate what you just said from a different angle, which is it may I mean this like in a very supportive way, but what you just said was obvious because the work that was presented, I think, really does reflect like the usefulness of the space, which I think has always been a focus of the project. And I think it's clearly going to meet the needs of students and staff and, the expanded services that we're providing. But there's also nothing in the project that I see that is unnecessarily indulgent. So I wanted to also thank the team for staying focused on making impact and improvements without this being something that is a burden on taxpayers. So great job on the project overall.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. I mean, just from the point of detail that both Doug and Dan have taken, we had a meeting with a student advisory earlier this month, or last month actually, now that it's March, where the students were actually providing input on where the cafeteria trays, which side of the lunch line should the cafeteria trays be dropped off, that level of detail. They provided input on the locker rooms, on the fitness center, on the auditorium design. The students have done a great job of being really thoughtful and reflective in looking at these design plans. And we've also had great input from the faculty. And I think everybody understands that this is a renovation addition project and we have a solid budget, and it's our goal to stay within that budget. So on time and within budget is the goal of the committee, and we're working real hard to stay there. And at the same time, a lot of these changes that Dan referred to in particular, the universal design elements of this middle school, we are really proud of, that this is going to be an accessible building for all groups of students. And that's been a key element of the design process, has been the discussion about what do we need to do to make sure that all students have access to all areas of the building as needed. So we feel very positive about that as well.
Dr. Yannicone, quick question with your meeting with your student groups and whatnot. What is their feedback on the bathrooms?
Their feedback on the bathrooms has been really good. It's interesting because it's not something that they've seen locally other than in restaurants. So they've been to restaurants in the region and they've seen universal design. And so there have been a couple of questions that they've asked us, which were fantastic. So for example, Dan mentioned that the bathroom doors will be floor to ceiling. That was a request of the students. They didn't want them to, they wanted solidly closing, fully individual single-use stalls. And so that's something that they will have. We talked about where the sinks should be and how to make that work. And they also were positive, and I was glad to hear this. One of the things that we will be able to do with the wall being removed essentially at the front of the entrance to these single stall units is that we'll be able to have cameras and sight lines for adults as they're walking down the hallway. And for the students, this feels much safer than the current scenario, because while they'll have the privacy of the single stalls, they also understand that there'll be visibility to when they're washing their hands. And so they feel comfortable about the fact that some of the, as Dan referred to it, shenanigans that sometimes occur inside bathrooms will not be possible. We're making sure that the single stalls are an appropriate size, but not so large that they would welcome more than one student into the stall. And we're also trying to make sure that there's a visibility line so that we actually will be able to place cameras on the hallway that will allow us to see the entrances, not into the stalls, obviously, but the entrances, as well as the sink area. And we feel like that will be helpful. We're also looking to eliminate the paper towels. So from a sustainability standpoint, moving to electric hand dryers will allow us to also eliminate some of the trash. So for custodial services, it'll be less of a cleanup during the day because they won't have to worry about those paper towels. So there's a lot of components of this that the students have contributed to the discussion that we are taking into account as we plan.
Excellent, thank you.
I would like to say, Dr. Yannicone, that it's your leadership and the team. The district has definitely helped us keep this project moving. And that's really important. You guys have given us the answers we need to continue to keep the project moving, and that shouldn't be unmentioned. Your leadership has been excellent in helping keep this project in the right direction. So thank you.
Absolutely. It's our goal to stay on that schedule. We're aiming for 2 years from now to have that, 3 years from now to have that building be open and well functioning. And so we want to make sure that January of 27, we can hit it. So we'll do everything we can to meet the timeline. I did see that Dr. Tartusky had to step off. So if there are any other questions from the board, we're happy to answer them. Or Chase, you're a member of this committee. If there's anything that you see that maybe we haven't seen, let us know.
Yeah, no, I think everything's been going good, especially since meeting with you during like the advisory groups, and we've talked about the bathrooms and what they're doing at the middle school. But yeah, I agree with everything. I think everything's going well, and that looks great.
Thanks, Chase. Chase is also part of our high school advisory committee, so we meet on a monthly basis with them as well. The only question I've gotten from the high school group is, when are we doing the high school bathrooms? And that's a separate matter. I see Miss Green's face. That's a separate question and conversation for us to have down the road.
Hi, this is Eileen. I have a question. Can you hear me? Okay, sorry, I've been having a lot of connection issues all morning, so you may have said this, so I apologize if I missed this. But in one of the pictures, that awning, I don't know if you call it an awning or the whole cover thing was not there. Is that staying? Is that going? I didn't quite catch that.
No
Yeah.
problem at all, Eileen. Dan, do you want to answer what the plan is there?
Yeah, we did mention. So you're referring to the existing canopy where this the student drop off is, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah, that is missing from our exterior images, but no, we'll be removing the one that's there now and putting a new one in. It just isn't shown up in the drawings yet.
Okay, thank you, because that is very helpful in the inclement weather to have,
Absolutely.
especially for drop off and pick up, to have that long space where people can be outside and covered. So it definitely helps the flow of drop off and pick up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and we're looking to pretty much put it in the same exact spot, just a little updated, a little taller. But yeah, it won't be removed. We'll make sure it gets back in there.
And I'm sorry, I couldn't tell also from the picture, is that enormous tree that looks like one day it's going to go over and crush the current canopy? Is that finally getting removed, or is that staying before it takes out the school?
The tree is staying, and of
Oh,
course
God.
the one image that we had it got eliminated from there too. But no, that tree is planning to be saved.
I don't have an issue with trees. That particular one makes me very uncomfortable because I've seen a lot of storms come through, and if that tree goes, it's going to do some damage. And I just wondered why it's not getting removed based on where it is.
Eileen, I can ask Mr. Thorne to share sort of a general overview of how we assess our trees and decide whether or not they need pruning, removal, replacement. Mr. Thorne, do you want to talk just a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. We did have the local arboretum come in and evaluate that tree, gave us recommendations to keep it healthy, to keep it growing. So we did that. We do that with many of our larger trees throughout the district. I know the township, they have come in and expressed a keen interest to save the tree. They have the Shaded Tree Commission, and they really enjoy that tree being there, the history of it. So we'll make sure it stays green and healthy, and yeah, I'm sure we'll have a lot of comment moving forward with the tree.
Okay, thank you. Again, I see that it's healthy. It's just one of those in a bad place. If something happens, I just am concerned it's going to wreak havoc. But we'll have to wait and see if that. Hopefully, it won't happen. But I guess we'll wait and see.
That's our goal, Eileen. There are two trees in particular on our campuses for which, as Mr. Thorne said, the township is keenly interested in their retention. One is the large tree near the main entrance of the high school, adjacent to the entrance to the stadium, and the other is this tree that you are describing. And so our goal is to keep these healthy and upright until the arborists tell us they're no longer possible. And in the meantime, our hope is to be able to provide some shaded outdoor seating under that tree when the project is completely finished. There's been some requests from the students for some outdoor seating. As you say, there's a nice area there. Once we have the awning, a new awning at the entrance to the cafeteria, they'd also love to see a little bit of seating out in that lawn area. So we'll see as the project completes. You know, there's going to be a lot of phases to this, and our goal will be ultimately to make sure that we have both indoor and outdoor spaces for students to gather.
Okay, if there's no more questions, we'll move on the agenda. Again, thank you, Dan and Doug. That was a great presentation. Great job there. And thanks to Mr. David Schrader, who's attending as well. I hope we're not scaring Mr. Charles Watley away with such big goals and aspirations for our middle school campus, but we'll move on then to some capital and summer project updates. Again, we've been working with a capital project list for a few years now. This year's projects slated to be completed or ongoing. Just a little list, a rundown of them. I think Doug has a list as well. The Erdenheim ramp project, as well as the high school partial roof replacement projects. The contracts have been awarded to the contractors. We'll be scheduling pre-construction meetings, looking at scheduling, phasing, lay down areas for material and whatnot. Another bigger project is the main campus utility pole replacement. So we have a large telephone pole that supplies our main power into the three campuses, the high school, middle school, and Erdenheim. The pole is located on the corner of Halls Lane and Springfield Way. So we had it evaluated, and it's time to be replaced. So we'll be working with Pico, the contractor, once we get the specifications developed for the new pole. So ongoing project, high school pool sound acoustical treatments. It's been quite extensive. I've been working with an acoustical engineer, mechanical engineers on how to make that space less noisy. One thing I realized that the amount of sound absorption panels that would need to be installed is quite extensive. It's not just a few little panels. Try and make the HVAC a little quieter. As you dig into this, it's really an extensive project. So that's an ongoing one. We didn't forget you. Mr. DeFranco, we're still working on that. So again, the high school stadium, we're looking at the new scoreboard and the athletic track timing system. The new high school stadium scoreboard is slated to be shipped March 25th, and the installation immediately following. So we're hoping to get the scoreboard up sometime in April. And then the track timing system would be a continuation of that done in the summertime. So we're also looking to do some painting, exterior masonry work down at the transportation facility to keep that going. As well as these summer projects, our in-house maintenance staff perform a whole host of projects that come in through our in-house work order system. So we'll be doing a ton of projects in-house. The custodial staff, again, will be cleaning, waxing of the buildings. So that's all slated for this summer. I don't know if Doug, you had anything to add there, since you'll be overseeing. Dewey will be overseeing a few of these projects.
I do have a couple slides if you'd like me to go through them to update you on the summer projects as well as the assessment study. Would you like me to do that?
Sure.
Okay. So the building assessment for a capital plan update to prepare a plan for the district for the next 5 years. We've collected the building conditions questionnaires that we shared with Craig to get feedback on conditions of facilities from the facilities department, as well as any of the administrators that shared feedback. And we'll use that as part of our information that we look at, along with the team of, we have an integrated team of folks we'll be bringing in from mechanical, electrical, plumbing engineers. We'll be bringing in folks with architectural backgrounds, roof experience, and site as well. And we'll plan to do that the last week of March to come in and do our study and our evaluation. We're preparing some floor plans and site plans that would be inserted in the plan as well. Following the site investigations, we'll develop those findings in line item format. We'll assign prioritizations, we'll assign budget values, and we assign a category to each one of those so they can be sorted by category or by school. We'll develop a listing by building as well. We'll develop the renovation replacement comparison to establish if a building should be considered for total renovations, or if it makes sense to continue down the summer project route, which I think most will fit that category, of course. Develop a 5-year plan in coordination with the administration that then Karen, I, and Charles can use to develop long-term planning down the road. To develop the summer projects for each of the next 5 years, and then continue to update that plan and finalize the capital plan and present it to the board. So you can understand what it is that we found. So my photos are on the way here. I can figure out. There we go. So the schedule, our site investigations will continue, start the end of this month and continue into April. We'll assign the prioritizations, budget values, and categorize. May to June, we'll develop the listing by buildings. In June, we'll develop the capital renovation replacement comparison. In July, we'll develop a 5-year plan in coordination with the administration, July and August of 24. And then we'll be prepared to present this to the board around August or September of 24. That will then allow us to move into the next logical steps with you is once we get the 2025 summer projects developed, have those approved by the board in September or October as projects to document, then document those projects October through December, award those summer projects around December or January, which allows the contractors time to procure materials and get everything ready to go for a summer start in June of 25 and wrap up August of 25. And then we basically repeat that process annually. So that's the plan for the building assessment. If there's any questions on that. Okay.
Okay, any more?
I'm sorry. So then the summer projects, the high school roof replacement, just to reiterate, that's been awarded to Jotten Roofing. We're finalizing the contracts with them now. We'll be scheduling that pre-construction meeting. We'll be working on submittals, shop drawings, schedule, clearances, etc. And that gets started in June and wraps up in August. The Erdenheim ramp project and fencing was awarded to TE Construction. We had a pre-construction meeting. We're going to have another pre-construction meeting in a couple months before they actually start the work. They're working on submittals and clearances. We're receiving those things, and that will also start in June. And then the other two projects Craig talked about, the high school utility pole replacement. It's going out to bid April 1st. We'll receive those bids in May. We'll award those in May, and that project will get started in June and complete in August. That will come with some coordinated, shutdown. We'll coordinate that, with the district, hopefully for a weekend project or a holiday. High school track timing is power and data from the press box, the electrical closet beneath it, under the bleachers, under the track, and then to the track on each side of the finish line. We'll have to pull the turf back, and we'll run this power also to the 50-yard line. So there'll be power and data to the field for future use as well. And that is happening. We're documenting it now. It's out to bid the middle of April. We'll receive those bids in May and award those also at the May 21st board meeting. And that would start in June and wrap up in August. And we'll have to work closely with the district and their activities. The one thing to note is you guys do have a Finish Links timing system already that you need to update the software on to talk to the new Nevco scoreboard. So that's something that we have been talking to the district about. There's Result TV and NPC are the two programs that have to be updated so that that timing system that you have will communicate with the new scoreboard. And that's something the district will do directly.
Doug, just to let you know, Joe Ferraro, our athletic director, is on top of that and already put the PO in for that. So we're
Great.
On board.
Great. So we'll be in good shape. So that concludes my update on summer plans that we're involved with.
Sorry, can I just ask a quick question?
Sure.
Oh, I'm sorry, James. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead. Okay. Thanks. Sorry about that. So I too have been having some connection issues. So sorry, I've been going in and out of computer and phone and all that. So I apologize if I missed this before, but your mention of the ramp in Erdenheim, and I saw it on the drawings earlier. And we have to do the ramp. I'm fully supportive of that. I'm just wondering what, if anything, we're doing to prevent misuse of the ramp by kids or anyone else once it goes up. Is there any planning for that?
I know the design of the railing, Mr. Needleman,
Okay.
it would prohibit skateboarders from jumping up there or, you know, the rollerbladers or whatever. So we're designing small posts every 10 feet or so. So that
Okay.
would discourage that as well.
Okay. Makes sense. I couldn't see that on the plans. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other
Yeah,
questions?
no,
Chase, your audio is a little bit shaky. Maybe turn off your camera and we'll see if we can hear you better.
any better?
Now,
Yes.
Chase, yes.
No. Yep. Okay. I just had a question about the turf. You said you're gonna be bringing that up in summer to do the track time system. I was just as Dr. Yannico knows, and we have practices throughout the summer. So I was just wondering how long that'll be happening on the turf.
Yeah, so we'll have to coordinate the timing of that with the district, but we will not be tearing up. We'll be pulling back the turf along the edge of the track, essentially out of the play area where you'd be practicing. So I think, you know, that there could be some limited area where they're working, but they are going to have to pull the turf back enough to prepare that drilling underneath the track so that we're not disturbing the track surface. I think it's going to be a couple days for them to do that. And then the work is really hand digging along the edge to get conduits in stone and some boxes in the stone. And then restoration of that. They'll roll the turf back and they'll re-adhere it to the perimeter blocking once they've done that. So we'll coordinate that with the district, but it's not going to take away the use of the entire turf area to do so.
We also have the whole Nixon field available for
All right, sounds good.
practice and
Thank you.
whatnot as well, Chase.
Yeah, I was just concerned because also like the girls also practice, so just like sharing fields and stuff.
Mhm. Yep.
Should only be a few days, Chase, and if you can picture where the gate is that takes you from the bleachers onto the track closest to the parking lot. The small gate, you know, like the side gate at the base of those narrow stairs, at the finish line.
Yeah.
Essentially what we're talking about is peeling back there. That's where the connection has to be for the fully automatic timing. So it won't be it's not like they're pulling back the whole turf. They're pulling back the edge of a section of the turf in order to run the lines and put the connection in. So it should be a minimal disruption.
Sounds good.
Good. Okay, any other questions on the capital projects or the assessment plan? Okay, so the next agenda item I have here is just a quick update with we had a maintenance garage fire last Wednesday, the 6th. So it happened in the evening after everybody was gone. We received an alarm from a monitoring company that the sprinkler water had started flowing. We were on site, the fire company came. A sprinkler had actually put the fire out. It got that intense in the rear of the maintenance building that a sprinkler head was activated and it actually put the fire out. The fire company came in and made sure everything was out. So the cause of the fire is still under investigation. That day we had tons of rain. We're not sure if the rain had an impact with wires or anything, or so we're waiting to find out, you know, what the cause was. We contacted our insurance company. One adjuster came out yesterday. There's another one coming today, a fire investigator. He's going to meet with the fire marshal today. And, you know, we're going to determine, you know, our next steps. Insurance reimbursement, taking down all the damaged drywall, drop ceiling tiles, lighting, and all that. So some equipment was damaged, some materials. I think we really, it could have been a lot worse than it was. As the fire marshal said, the sprinkler systems are invaluable. It really saved a lot of damage that could have occurred. So just wanted to give you an update there. All righty, no questions there then.
Craig, I have a quick question. Just so the sprinkler system put it out, is there other damage caught like in other parts of the garage because of the sprinklers, or did they just activate where the fire was?
Just where the fire was. So one sprinkler head activated.
Wow.
We have, several heads, but it was actually isolated just to the area where the fire was.
Okay. I've always been curious about that, if it was that precise, but that's wonderful.
But yep, yeah, it really was. It was a lifesaver there. Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
So yeah, we'll keep you updated on that as well. So the other item on the agenda is the Director of Operations transition plan. So again, welcome, Charles. It's your first property meeting and welcome aboard. So Charles will be starting the 20th. My last day is the 22nd. So between then and now and then, we'll be bringing Charles up to speed, meeting township officials. Charles has met all the maintenance staff. We'll go over their schedules. There's a lot of technology involved, programs, things that I'm enrolled in as a lead, that will be transitioned over to Charles. So they're the things we'll be working with. Obviously he'll be working close with Doug with all the summer projects. We'll get him up to speed with security, with custodial. So looking forward to it. And again, Charles, I hope we didn't scare you away today.
Not at all. Not at all.
Very good. Very good. All righty. So that's the agenda items. Any other questions, concerns?
Mr. Thorne, I just wanted to let the board members know, which they probably already do know. This is Mr. Thorne's last property committee meeting after 12 years. I want to thank him publicly for all the work he's done. Some of you have been on the board long enough to know that Mr. Thorne has shepherded a number of projects for the district. The new Enfield building, the demolition of the former Enfield building, the high school renovation and addition project, the Erdenheim renovation project, and now gotten us started with the middle school project. He's been an exceptional director of operations. He has the broad support and respect and appreciation of the administrative team, and certainly of myself. And today actually is his birthday. So happy birthday, Mr. Thorne.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
And just wanted to publicly thank you for all the work you've done to make sure that the district continues to proceed positively and safely. I will say that regardless of the weather, regardless of the situation, in my years as superintendent, there is no one who works a longer day and is more dedicated to the safety and security and overall functioning of the district, not only for our students, but also for the township. He's regularly in communication with township leaders in order to make sure that all of the user groups have access to our facilities and that things are working well. So he's just been an outstanding leader. And Charles, we welcome you. You have big shoes to fill, and we know you'll be on board with us next week. And I'm glad that we have 3 days of transition for you and Craig. But Craig, just wanted to publicly again say thank you and congratulations on your retirement and happy birthday.
Thank you so much. And thanks for your leadership and the board's support over the years. It's been wonderful. Great place to work. I'll really, truly miss it. But it's time to go fishing.
Congratulations, Mr. Thorne. Thank you for everything
Thank you
you've
so much.
done.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you. Alrighty, so if there's nothing else, I guess that's a wrap, guys.
Thank you, Craig.
Thank you.
Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
See you,
you.
everyone.
I'll see you all
Here,
shortly.
thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.